over these next several weeks, and who knows, it might take months, I'm going to do my best to focus on consider planetary combinations as far as they apply to conjunctions and transits. And conjunctions, what are those? Those are in your chart where, say, you've got Moon and Jupiter in Leo. Two planets in the same sign, that is a conjunction. The closer the conjunction, the more potent it will be. And that's going to have a particular effect within your life. Transits are, for example, when you get Jupiter in Virgo, and then that's your birth chart. Jupiter's in Virgo in your birth chart. And then the Moon comes along and transits over that Virgo. I particularly really enjoy when the Moon is in the same sign of Jupiter, or in the 5th house from Jupiter and the 9th house from Jupiter. Those are good transits. Usually more uplifting transits in regards to the house in which they are situated. So let's go ahead and begin. And I want to start with the Moon. Looking at the Moon in each particular planetary combination. We'll look at Moon and Mars first, then Moon and Mercury, Moon Jupiter, Moon Venus, Moon Saturn, Moon Rahu, and Moon Ketu. And we'll do one small video on each, just to give you time to digest it. And it's very important to note that to really learn how the combinations actually work, meaning mathematically, within your chart, the best thing to study are the Lajatati Avashtas, because they will take it out of the realm of here's a group of yogas that a book talks about and just gives you a description, and it will give you the actual reason behind why they work the way they do. So I prefer people to study the Lajatati Avashtas rather than just combinations, yogic combinations, because when you're memorizing yogas and combinations, that's good, and that serves its own purpose. But studying the Lajatati Avashtas, these should let you understand the reason behind it, the why. That way you don't have to memorize it. You know the actual mechanism behind it. And again, there's a wonderful course at AshevilleVedicAstrology.com, a downloadable course on the Lajatati Avashtas. Go to the audio and video courses download tab. I think it's an 8-hour course. It'll take you through every one of the planets in regards to their combinations with Lajatati Avashtas, so you understand how they work within your chart. But let's go ahead and begin here. Let's consider Moon and Mars. This is one that a lot of women seem to ask me about, because some say that it causes problems within a person's marriage life or difficulties with the husband and things of this nature. But let's break it down. What is the Moon and what is Mars? And what happens when they are in your birth chart in conjunction? And what happens when the Moon transits Mars, or when Mars transits your natal Moon? Well, the Moon is our emotional nature. The Moon is our sense of self, our jiva, our soul. And Mars is a very active, fiery, dynamic, impulsive, inspirational energy. When we get these two together, since the Moon is a friend to Mars, even though Mars is neutral to the Moon representing our consciousness and our soul, this Mars helps to stimulate and activate and give us a great capacity to achieve our goals, because it's that Mars, the general, the active planet of power, saying, all right, this is what you want to achieve. Well, I'm going to help you achieve it. And the Moon is our consciousness, that thing we want to achieve. So that's why it's often said that people with a good Mars are happier, because they take what they want. Now, that's not so good if you're the person they're taking it from. But typically this is a person who, they understand what their needs are, they take what their needs are, and they might not do it just to irritate you or bother you or to steal from you. They just know, this is what I need, I'm going to take it. And other people can get jealous of that because they're caught up in the idea of being more of a passive role. So this can be very difficult, specifically in a woman's chart, particularly when that woman is in a society where the woman is meant to be more submissive to the male or the masculine energy. So this is one of the reasons why when it comes to compatibility, when people ask me about the Moon and Mars, what we have to remember is, of course, with a traditional culture, the moon in Mars is going to be difficult in a woman's chart because she's going to have a mind of her own. And God forbid she have a mind of her own. But in our current culture, we can learn to work with that moon in Mars if we can respect her passion, her power, her direction. And it really takes the man capacity to grow and to, how can I be in a relationship with a strong female? How can I do that? And that will make the man better as well. So moon Mars, I don't always look at it and say, terrible for marriage and relationships. I say, well, you're going to have a strong personality. You're going to need to achieve your own goals. You're going to need to follow your own inspiration. And if your partner can't handle that, well, then that's something you both need to work out together, or he needs to work out on his own. So this is often called a Chandra Mangala yoga. So it makes the emotions close to the surface. It makes someone passionate. Moon and Mars combination. Negatively speaking, if there are negative Rashi aspects to the sign these two planets take place in, it can make a person kind of anxious or excitable. But the positive side, it makes a person lead towards taking proper initiative, not necessarily being impulsive. It makes them dynamic, lively, and energetic. The consciousness is dynamic, lively, and energetic. Again, the negative combinations of this moon can make one somewhat prone to anger because it'll make them sensitive. There can be a danger of making extreme choices when you're in the throes of difficult emotional circumstances. And it can make a person somewhat used to aggression and friction and frustration, because we have to remember that whatever planets are with the moon or are aspecting the moon, that is what our consciousness is used to. So that's kind of like when we get moon and Mars together, that's going to be someone who comes from a family, possibly, that has had some aggression in it. When they have disagreement, they actually yell at each other and fight. And so you get someone with moon and Mars together, getting together with someone who has moon and Jupiter, and we'll learn more about moon and Jupiter when we get to that. But then we have an individual who's, for them, fighting is a way of like showing that I love you. So it doesn't have to be brutal fighting, but it's a way of, that's the kind of person is, why don't you fight with me? Why don't you engage with me? It's healthy to do that. That's a moon-Mars thing. And again, that can be somewhat challenging if you're not used to that, but just be aware of that. They say that this can make a person's marriage or relationship to their mother emotionally disturbed. Again, it really depends on the logitati of Ashtas towards that moon, supporting that moon. Is the moon being supported by Sun and Mercury? Is the moon being supported by Jupiter? Or is the moon getting hurt by Saturn and aspected by Mars? Well, that's what's going to make the more difficult aspect of the moon-Mars combination come out. But moon and Mars can be a very empowering combination. And whatever house it's in, that's going to tell you the area of life, typically, where there's going to be this emotion, this passion, this energy, this drive. Or if there are difficult Rashi aspects to that house, that sign, well, that can be where a lot of the difficulties of this excitable, frustrated moon comes out. All right, so consider this when you're looking at moon and Mars combinations within a person's chart. Also consider this whenever you're looking at a person's chart and you happen to see Mars transiting over a person's moon. Meaning that, say, your moon is in Capricorn, and you just happen to see that at this particular month, Mars is going to be transiting through Capricorn. You might have to deal with some of these things, good or bad. So you can tap into the positive or you can tap into the negative depending on how your consciousness is colored.